I almost forgot I needed a mic. Well, welcome to my session, Become a Positive Genius. And when they told me I was going to close camp, I was like, oh, awesome, there'll be like 5 people there. I can do that. So I have to say I'm super excited to see all the faces still here, being the last session of the day of camp. So thank you very much. I'm so glad this session title and concept resonated with you. So a little bit about me. So if you were here yesterday and did the story writing workshop, you learned a little bit about me. I've been with Nelnet for 3.5 years. I was a Scrum Master, and I'm transitioning into a new role on consumer loan side as a one-team coach. So I've been telling people I feel like I'm kind of having an identity crisis a little bit as to what I know what that means, but having to describe it. So I'm working on my elevator pitch on that. So few things about me and what makes me happy. I'm from South Dakota. Grew up in Rapid City, which is just a few miles outside of Mount Rushmore, so I got to see that quite a bit. I love live music. I love music. Love live music. I'm a concert enthusiast. I've traveled hundreds of miles for concerts, so love doing that. I also love mountains, so being out here in Denver always makes me super happy because I get to see that view every day. Growing up in the Black Hills, took them for granted, and now I know how much I appreciated that. And then, believe it or not, for those of you that do know me fairly well, I used to be shy, like painfully shy. Yes, painfully. Heather can resonate with that statement. I wouldn't even talk to the waiter at the restaurant. I'd tell my mom what I wanted. So, painfully shy. The most important for you guys is I love being a promoter of positivity. So I got my Good Vibes shirt on today. I have a positive personality, I hope. It comes across that way most of the time. And I like sharing that with people. So I really wanted to share this with you guys today. But I am kind of interested in hearing from you guys, especially with so many people here. What drew you to this session today? You just signed up? It was a good it was all day. Check. Thank you, Ree. You wanted to finish on a positive note.
The workplace can use all the positivity you can get.
The workplace. Well, I'm hoping I can tell you how to do that.
I think the world can use.
Yes, more world. What the world? You didn't know you were going to get a show, did you? All right, so why am I interested in this? I became interested in happiness psychology, that's what it's called, because I'm very passionate about wanting our workplace and our world to be more positive and enjoyable places to be. And I always felt like that's kind of why I was drawn to being a Scrum Master, is I really felt my goal was to teach my teams or work with my teams on enjoying coming to work, like better ways to do work. So I always say if I wasn't a Scrum Master, then I would probably deliver flowers, warm cookies. I don't know if you guys are familiar with warm cookies, but they deliver warm cookies to you, which is like awesome, right? Well, we have a cookie recipe there. Because nothing fills my bucket more than making people happy. And those of you that have been on my teams before, if you talk to someone on my teams, will tell you I haven't done it always perfectly, but that's always my goal. So a couple years ago, I was at a conference, and this gentleman named Sean Acor, which we'll get to see a clip of him later, was giving the keynote. And he is a happiness researcher, because that is a real thing. And he wrote these 2 books that I've based this session on, and look at all this. Like, this is all the stuff I wanted to share with you, but they would only give me 50 minutes. So, and I do tend to go like a couple minutes over, so I'm just warning you. But I was so excited about what these books taught me and what I can put into practice myself that I wanted to share it with you guys. So you guys ready to learn how to be positive geniuses?
Yeah!
Woo! So glad Chris got you pumped up with those paper airplanes. So this is based on these two books. Let's talk about happiness a little bit first. So happiness can sometimes get a bad rap. Somebody that's always positive and be like, well, they're not really in touch with reality, or, happiness is just a way to seek out pleasure and can be kind of selfish. But I want to share with you that happiness and joy can live with other emotions. So you don't have to be just happy and joyful or just sad or angry. They can live together. So the difference in being a positive genius is how fast you can pull yourself back to being happy or positive. So just know that you don't have to pick one over the other, that they can really live in conjunction with each other. I'm not always like this. I have bad days. I get grumpy. My family can tell you that. But I always try to then bring myself back to positivity as fast as possible, because that's where I like to live. Well, let's talk about not so happy things. So if you see this guy up here, how many of you have ever felt like this or feel like this right now? Let's be honest here. Good. So negativity and stress. Research has revealed that when we're in a negative mindset, all our loads feel heavier, like this guy here. All obstacles loom bigger. All our mountains, like the Rockies out here, seem less surmountable. And this is especially true in our workplaces. And that's why when we look at stress, workload, and competition from a negative mindset, our performance can suffer. So if you think about all the stresses we have at work, we know we're trying to win an RFP, we know we're trying to win clients, we're trying to get work done by the time we said we were going to. It all mounts, and then if we are in that negative mindset, it just feels heavier. So in case you didn't know this, stress is linked to the 6 leading causes of death. That's kind of scary, isn't it? So 70 to 90% of doctor visits are due to stress-related issues. And stress negatively affects most of the organs in our body. So I will admit I'm a little nervous right now. You won't, hopefully you can't tell. But I really overcommitted myself this summer to a lot of things. Some outside opportunities to share information, do some presentation at conferences, planning camp, traveling a lot, and I may have procrastinated a little bit in putting this together. So the week before the first camp, I was really stressed. And you know how I felt it? Like my stomach hurt all the time, my heart was racing, I had a headache. Like that's what stress does to you, because it has a very physical effect. So what we're going to talk about today is how can we minimize its impact? How can, coming back to that positive mindset, minimize the stress on our body? So I know in my presentation when you guys were checking your sessions, if you didn't just check all for the day, I don't know what was there. You're like, really? Positivity can lead to success? Isn't it the other way around? That's what we've always heard. Well, in Sean Akers' research, he found outcomes from a happier and more positive brain led to these results. So people that had a more positive and happy mindset had an increased productivity by 31%. If they were in a sales position, having that kind of mindset increased their sales by 37%. If people in a positive mindset were up for a promotion, they were likely to get that by 40%. And this is the one I think is most important. In medicine, doctors were 19% faster and more accurate at coming up with a correct diagnosis when positive. Who wants that doctor? I think I might start asking that when I make appointments. What kind of mood are you in today? So if you think about these results of those people that have positive mindsets, what could that happen on your team? If you were promoting that positivity and that positive mindset on your teams, like what kind of results do you think you would have? Positive. Productivity? More productive conversations, maybe? Openness, sharing, collaboration.
I don't know, trust.
Trust. Geologist?
More fun.
More fun? All right, so yeah, just think about what that can make a change to your teams. So the title of this is Become a Positive Genius. So what does that mean? What is a positive genius? So this is a very simple explanation. Like I said, if you want to learn more, these books are really great. But a positive genius is not a blind optimist. They see realism in the world, but they see those negativities and believe they have the ability to do something about them. So that means that they're able to turn those around. And a positive genius also helps others create their own positive realities. They help us to see a greater range of solutions and routes to success. And by sharing our positive reality, we help others find theirs. So as we walk out of here today as positive geniuses, just think of the impact we're going to have on that world Michelle was talking about. So how do we do that? So we're going to talk about just 3 categories of how we can do that today. So first we're going to talk about choosing our most valuable reality. And this is one of the first and most important tools of a positive genius. It's their ability to realize there are multiple versions of reality that exist. So if you think about, there's that concept of when you're buying a red car, or you're looking at buying a red car, that all you see is red cars on the road. Has anybody heard of that, or does that resonate? Or when you're having a bad day, does it feel like everything goes bad? Like because that's your mind. That's your mind looking for those signals that are only bringing in the things that you're focusing on. So your perception of the world impacts your happiness. Before we can be happy and successful, we need to create those positive realities, and only we can do that for ourselves. That does not simply mean being optimistic. So it's using all your resources, so your intellect, your cognitive abilities, and your emotional resources to create that positive change, and believing that true change is possible. So you have to believe that. So what are some ways we can do that? So we're going to do a little activity. So find some paper on your table, whether it's a sticky note or a leftover airplane paper that didn't get picked up, and a pen.
It'll cost you.
It'll cost me? Are you going to charge me or them?
It's $1 million.
Oh. You take it out of my paycheck.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so once you have a piece of paper, think of a person or situation that you deal with at work or home. So some examples might be doing the dishes, or a coworker that always brings fish in for lunch. So when I tell you to start, for 30 seconds, I want you to write as many negative and positive words, phrases, or attributes you can come up with. Don't start yet. Don't worry about grammar, spelling, or making sure it looks good. We're going for speed. So negative and positive things you can think of. So go ahead and go. Yep, think of a person or a situation at home or at work, and attribute both negative and positive attributes to that. Mm-hmm. And stop. All right, so now you get points. For every negative word, you get 1 point. For every positive word or attribute, you get 3. So how many had more positive points? So about half, a little over half. That's awesome. So now I'm going to tell you why this is important. Not just because I thought you needed an activity. So researchers have proven or have found, I shouldn't say proven, but found that we need a 3-to-1 positive interaction every day. So we need 3 positive interactions to 1 negative every day to stay in a positive mindset. So a study was done as part of this research out of North Carolina where the research team worked with teams where the amounts of positive and negative feedback that a team member received were tallied. Those teams that received a 3-to-1 ratio had significantly higher profits as well as improved 360 feedbacks. So 360 would be kind of like our feedback loop that we're talking about. Those below this ratio, engagement plummeted and turnover rates shot up. So those that were under the 3-to-1 didn't do as well. They also found that teams that had a 6-to-1 ratio were the highest performing teams. So if you think about, I don't know, trying to win the RFP, ramp up to that ratio of positive interactions would be very beneficial for us. So thinking about in your day, like how many positive interactions do you have to negative? And how are you responsible for that? Like when you're walking in to your team or you're one-on-one with someone, like how many of those ratios are you going to offer that person? It can be as simple as giving someone a compliment or bringing in donuts or making them take a coffee break. Like if you see someone that's been working for hours at their desk, like encourage them to leave their desk and go do something fun for 10 minutes. So can you guys think of other ways that you can improve your ratio? Huh? Drive to work less? Avoid traffic?
Choose around it, doesn't involve I-25.
Yeah. Take away donuts and give them fruit, being very health conscious, yeah. So I know the 3 thing has resonated. Darren talked about the 3 things. So here it is again, this number 3 is coming up, 3-to-1, or multiples of 3 are important to us. Some other ways that you can bring or start changing your positive reality is to remind yourself of the power of change that has happened in your life. So write down the 3 greatest moments of change in your life that have brought you to the person you like being today. I don't have to do it now, but like think about it. Like, what are those 3 things that have brought me to where I am today that I like about myself? Put them on your mirror, your computer monitor, or somewhere else visible that you can always look at. And that's something that can continually bring you positivity throughout your day. Another 3 item is seek out diverse voices, at least 3. If you're having a hard time changing your reality or seeing it in a different way, seek out different perspectives. Go talk to someone else that is not in your situation to see what kind of reality they can help for you. So it helps to get that, wow, that's collaborating, that's seeking out other people's opinions. So thinking back to the exercise we did and about the negative attributes or descriptions, can you see where changing the spin on reality to a positive one is helpful? So the example of doing dishes, it's kind of a pain, but maybe you're helping a spouse out that's had a really bad day. So you don't want them to come home to a sink full of dirty dishes. Or you just really like how your kitchen looks when there's not dishes on the counter in the sink. Or how your house smells. So what are those positives? How does that make you feel when you turn a negative to a positive? Less stressed? A little lighter, maybe? All right, so change your reality. You have the power to do so. Does anybody know what these are? What do we use them for? Canceling noise. So noise can be a distorter of our reality. So how many of you have ever been to a casino? What's their tactics to distort your reality? Yep, lots of noise, lots of lights, makes you lose focus. Busy patterns in the carpet, like in here. Huh? Free drinks? No clocks. Yeah. No windows. Wow. We have a lot of things keeping us there. Because they're trying to distract you from the reality that you're losing lots of money. So, or you think you're winning. So that's what things in our life do. We also have noise in our lives that do the same thing. So if you think about some of the noise that cancels out signals. So signals are those positive things that, or changes or opportunities or possibilities that come into our life that noise interferes for us. So noise can be anything from, those are for a few of the examples I thought of, work related or personal related, is say you've had 5 really awesome reviews with your stakeholders, you're feeling really great as a team, and then you have one where the stakeholders are kind of disappointed, and think about how that makes you feel. Oh, we're the worst team ever. Not that any of you have ever said that, but you know, we never make them happy, like we can never satisfy their needs. I'm guessing that some of us have felt that way. So that's noise. We're saying all those other good things have never happened. Or I was thinking like when you get a haircut and you're walking in, it's like, oh, I love your haircut. It looks awesome. And then you have that one person that says, oh, I liked it longer. And you're like, oh, shoot, maybe I shouldn't have changed it. That one person changed your reality. Put noise in your ears. Some of the feedback that we get. We are asking for feedback because we want to know how we can make our presentations better, or you know, how we can present better. But sometimes that feedback's kind of hard. You only focus on the negative, right? Like, oh, that one person didn't like it. And we know that these sessions aren't going to resonate with everybody. So we have to focus on the positive comments and what difference we may have made in one person's life with our sessions. So that's another example of signal and noise. So why is this important? So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what noise may seem like in your life. So one of the examples in the book was, and how you can identify it, is information that may be unusable. So that might be noise that would, what kind of information would not change your behavior? And so it's how he classified unusable noise. So if you think about our tendency to focus on events in the news, like tragedies in the news, and we want all this information about it, and we continually check our CNN feed, is that usable for me? Am I going to do anything with that information? Yep. It might even make you more fearful of some of the stuff going on in the world. So think about if you were to tune some of that information out, like be aware but not obsess about it, unless you're going to use it to make some changes in your life. Like, are you going to become a gun advocate? Or are you going to go help people that were impacted by the hurricane? Do you need that information because you're going to do something with it? Or are you just using it as noise to make yourself afraid or for whatever reason? Can you think of any examples of how we use unusable information at work or noise at work? Rumor mills? Sorry. Think about that when information comes to you. Is this usable? Am I going to use this information for anything, or is it just distracting me from my positive reality? Another example is untimely. You are not going to use that information imminently, and it could change by the time you do use it. Kind of think about this as getting long list of requirements, like when we're talking about Agile and how we approach our work. Like, we don't have requirements that are 2 years out. That seems kind of untimely. We don't know what our marketplace is going to do in 2 years. So that may not be timely news for us to try to figure out what we're going to do all the way for 2 years. Another example you might think of in your life is if you have Nelnet stock and you don't plan on doing anything with it till you retire, why would you check the prices every day? Are you going to sell it any faster if it's high or low? So just think about, is it timely for me? Is this information I'm going to use anytime soon? If not, then it's noise. You don't need it to change your reality. Does anybody have any examples, other examples about untimely information at work? I'm sure there are some. I was thinking of a move. Oh, go ahead, Beth.
Requirements due in 2 years, but requirements for storing that came in 2 years ago.
Go. Yep, they're no longer timely at all, are they? Also think of like moving locations, like you start hearing like, we might be moving in 3 months or 6 months, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, tell me when it's closer and know for sure. So that kind of goes along with the next one, is hypothetical. Hypothetical is, it's based on what someone believes could be instead of what is. So it's an opinion or an observation, but not necessarily a fact. So it's hypothetical.
More gossip.
Huh?
More gossip.
More gossip, yep. You might think of weather forecasting. Weather forecasting is pretty much hypothetical information, right? Market predictions. I think we're kind of going through a political race right now too. So a lot of the noise is hypothetical. We don't know what's going to happen. Some of these hypothetical conversations can just suck energy out of everyone instead of allowing us to focus on what we know to be true, which tends to change our positive reality. And basically you can classify noise as anything that's distracting you. If it's keeping you from your positive reality or what you need to focus on, it's noise. It's keeping you from doing what you need to do or want to do. So what are some other examples you can think of noise in our lives? Besides, rumors was one of the ones I had down. So, how about social media? Did I hear that? Social media can be considered noise. I had the notifications that come up on my phone distract me all day long. I don't really care if Kim Kardashian fell down. I mean, like, so I have actually removed almost all the notifications on my phone because it was very distracting to me and it was hard to focus. Other people's drama I put in there, hearing what other people are up to. So those are some of the things that you may consider external noise. So I have a little challenge for you. The reason is the studies have found that if you can reduce your main sources of information by just 5%, you can increase your chances of finding a positive thing. So if you just take those distractions and that noise out of your life, you're more likely to look for that positive reality or those opportunities or possibilities. So some ways you could do this is by turning off the radio in your car for the first 5 minutes and just taking a breath and thinking about your day, especially if you listen to the news or talk radio. Remove news media links from your bookmarks on your toolbars at work. Make it less easy for you to go out and check untimely, hypothetical, not relevant news. Limit the amount of notifications on your phone. Limit watching prediction news. Do not read articles on tragedies that you cannot or will not affect your behavior. So again, be aware of what's going on in the world. Don't obsess. And when working, listen to music without lyrics. So I had to do this because I love lyrics and I love music, and I find myself singing along and paying attention to music more than I was trying to focus. So I wanted to share this really awesome site my coworker Alex shared with me, called mynoise.net. And basically it's just background noises that you can choose. There's an ocean, there's a cafe, but it creates that distraction, that canceling noise without distracting you. And if you decide to do this, kind of notate any increases in energy or focus that you have. So if you work to decrease your external noise by 5%, you hopefully will see an increase in your positive energy. So with that, we know we also have internal noise. So noise canceling headphones work really great at canceling the noise from the outside, but we are only responsible for canceling the noise from the inside. So negative thinking, such as fear, anxiety, self-doubt, pessimism, or worry, are the most dangerous types of noise around because it not only impairs our ability to hear positive signals, but it undermines other efforts of creating positive change because we focus on those things. We're naturally built to be pessimistic. Pessimism lowers our probability, our brains put that up to minimize any impact of those negative events. So our brain feels like they're protecting us by putting us in a pessimistic mind. but it also prevents us from seeing the positivity in those outcomes. So if your success is predicted by the belief that your behavior matters, so thinking about how you walk into a situation, if you're thinking nothing will ever get better, it's always going to be like this, nothing's going to change, you will end up spending no energy trying to change your reality because your brain's in protecting itself, it believes. So there are a couple ways, 3, that I'm going to present to you, that you can think about of 3 ways of positive energy that will help pull you out of that pessimistic mind. So one is keeping your worry in proportion to the likelihood of the event. So I'm worrying about this event, but how likely is it going to happen? Let's keep those things in proportion. One of the things that I thought, so if you think about like how often has this negative event actually happened to me in the past? Or how often does this negative event happen to people in my situation? So I'm going to use a couple of extreme examples here. What if we don't get all our stories done? Does that seem like an extreme example? We know it happens, but what are the consequences of that happening? Did anybody ever get fired for not getting all their stories done all the time? If they, like, let's keep those in proportion. Another way that you can work on canceling out that external or internal noise is thinking, I don't want to ruin 10,000 days to just be right on a handful. So am I worrying like for a month about something that will happen when it's only going to likely happen one day? And then worrying about loved ones. Worrying does not equal being loving or responsible. Worrying can harm your loved ones and your teams because you can't find truly productive and meaningful ways to look for new realities. So think about that, like when you worry about something or worry about something happening, how that might be keeping you from seeing those positive signals or possibilities. So we're going to do another quick activity because another study has found that when people write down their positive feelings for a few minutes, they significantly lower the levels of worry and pessimism. So I want you each to take either the same paper or a new paper if you used it all up before, and I want you to write down 5 things that you feel positive about today in your life, or 5 things that make you happy. Did you live through your time? All right. How many of you have a hard time thinking of 5? Oh, good. I've had some people come up later and say, at first I was having a really hard time, but then once I started, 5 didn't seem so bad. How did that make you feel writing down your 5 favorite things, 5 things that bring you joy? Grateful? Happy? Kind of lift you up a little bit? Lucky? Okay, so when you start feeling those senses of worry and pessimism, because your brain is trying to protect yourself, write down things that make you happy. Try to pull yourself out. Start finding your positive reality. Because the internal noise are only things that you can prevent. All right. This is my favorite one. Your positive reality, share your positive reality with others. So now that we've found some ways to change our positive realities, now it's our duty as positive geniuses to share those positive realities with others. So we don't want to keep them to ourselves, right? We can't force others to be positive, but we can plant seeds of positive realities in others. So we can't force people to be happy, but we'll talk about some ways about surrounding people with positivity that can pull them into the same mindset. So I know I will have some groans from our proclaimed introverts here, but when we're stressed, one of the most important things to do is stay socially connected. So how many of you, when you've had a big deadline at work, or you've had a major catastrophe, or you've got to do something fast, pull away and isolate yourselves? We have some people that admit to that. But I want you to know that that can actually harm you from prevent you from being successful in that. When things start to get going wrong, we really don't want to be alone. Our bodies crave social support, and our bodies can literally malfunction without it. So lack of social contact can add 30 points to an adult's blood pressure reading. So if you think about, you're already stressed because you have this major deadline or this thing to fix, or like, just leave me alone and get it done, you're actually adding to the problem by socially removing yourself. People that prioritize their social connections are happier, more productive, engaged, energetic, and resilient. Think about that when you think about your social interactions. So how can we do that? So I meant to have these come up separately, and I never got around to fixing it. But build socially invested teams. Have members of other teams that do not know each other meet. Spend some time with other departments. We have someone from our Aurora office here today. It's been so great, or this week. It's been so great to have him here. Come to camp. Spend time with people you don't ever see or haven't met. We have Madison